Okay, we are live. Hi, this is Erinn Morgan. I am the editor-in-chief of iCare Business Magazine, and I am super thrilled to be here today for the debut of a brand new live stream broadcast series that we are launching today. It is called #EB Share the Mic, and we'll be holding these monthly in 2021 on Facebook and on YouTube, one day a month. And in this broadcast series, we're going to pass the mic to an industry luminary to sit down with a vision care expert that they have, chosen to conduct a 20-minute Q&A session with, to reveal some really innovative ideas and actionable business strategies. People, that are really kind of shaking things up in the industry. And I am so thrilled to be here today with our debut EB Share the Mic live stream luminaries, Dr. Howard Purcell, who is the president and CEO of the New England College of Optometry, and Dr. Derrick Artis, a respected industry consultant and the former COO of Vision Source. So thank you both so much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Erinn.
Thanks, Erinn.
It's great to be here. And I know Howard is in Boston looking out on the Charles River. And Derrick, are you in Florida?
I am, Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale, nice. So you have good weather. You're not freezing like the rest of us.
Yeah, we're glad.
Wonderful. Well, can I just ask you each to, maybe Howard, kick it off with just kind of a brief background on yourself for our audience, just to kind of share your experience in the industry.
Happy to, Erinn. First of all, I want to say thanks a lot for the opportunity. I really salute iCare Business for its creativity and giving us a chance to actually interview some people who have made incredible contributions to our profession. We have a great example of that today, my good friend, Dr. Derrick Artis. But for me, I've had a wonderful opportunity in my career. In fact, I've had the opportunity throughout my career at times to be working with Dr. Artis. So that's been one of the high points for me. But for me, I was in private practice for 10 years with my dad, about 5 years in academia, and then about 25 in industry. That was at Johnson & Johnson and at Essilor. And then for the past 2.5 years, I've had the honor and privilege of being the president and CEO of my alma mater. I'm actually a second generation graduate of New England College of Optometry. So it's a treat. Pandemic has made things more challenging for all of us, but it's been an incredible honor, and absolutely thrilled to be here today and looking forward to hearing more about Derrick.
Thank you very much. And that's fantastic. And so, Derrick, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in the industry?
Sure, Erinn. Again, thanks again for the opportunity. I really think it's a great project you guys are launching, and
Thank you.
Couldn't be happy to be a part of it. Started off 89 graduate at PCO, but it's now Salus University. First 10 years, like Howard, practiced optometry for 10 years in clinical care. And then the last 20 years of my career, I've spent in the industry and been fortunate enough to travel the world and advocate and promote optometry, right? And so we'll take you on that journey. I hope some of the readers find it interesting. And like Howard, just really excited to work with him. We've been in the industry together, but having a project working together, it's probably the first time we've done one together, I think, Howard. We've been next door to each other, but this is
That's
exciting.
true. Thanks, Erinn. See?
Bringing us together. We sure need it in these days.
Yes. So looking forward to it. Erinn, I'll throw it back to you, but we're ready to go.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Derrick, for sharing that with us. We really appreciate it. And I know you two have planned a very engaging Q&A session here. So I'll just tell our audience, as you're watching, feel free to type in any questions you have for Howard and for Derrick into the comment bars, either in YouTube or in Facebook. Just write in the comment bar on the live stream, and we will see those and we can address those questions either kind of as we go along or in a Q&A session at the end, depending on how kind of the questions fall. But feel free to type that in into those comment bars. And we'd also love to know where you folks are from. I see a lot of folks watching here, and we'd love to know your name, what your practice name is, where you're located. So please share that in the comment bars. Feel free to tell us where you're from. So thank you. And I'm going to send the mic over to Howard and turn it over to him to kick off this Q&A session with Derrick. Thank you.
Mike, I got it. Thank you very much. There we go.
I need like a mic that I can chuck over.
Thank you so much, Erinn, for the opportunity. And I have to start off by saying, first of all, since I've been your centerfold in your magazine, I get stopped all over the place being asked for autographs. No,
you were the centerfold. I never thought about that. That's true.
Well, Dr. Ramsey was bragging that he was on the cover, so I had to kind of say maybe I was in the centerfold. Anyway, all kidding aside, when you gave me this wonderful opportunity, and in particular to kick things off and started talking about what you really wanted to make of this, and I started really thinking in my head, who would be the best person really to kick this off? Who could really talk about our profession from so many different perspectives? From angles that most of us don't have a chance to do, and to really give us some good insights as we all try to navigate the next 10 and 20 years of optometry. Honestly, I could not think of anybody better than Derrick. His experiences in this profession are so vast. He has navigated through as a leader. He has represented optometry in an incredibly positive way. As has been mentioned, I've had the pleasure to work with him here and there along the way as well. I couldn't be any more proud to see what he's done and how the things that he's accomplished. And so I want everybody to know a little bit more about this man's story, because he's made such a great contribution. If you've ever been part of Vision Source or know anything about it, you know what he's contributed. That's for sure. If you've been part of the J&J family and you've been around that, you know what he's contributed. But if you haven't, you're going to learn a lot more about it today. So, buddy, listen, if you don't mind, let's start off a little bit of your journey. It's such an interesting journey. You kind of did a high level, but could you dig in just a little bit? What were those responsibilities? How did you contribute? And why did you do what you did? Why did you make those decisions along the way?
Okay, great. Thanks, Howard. You know, it's funny. Howard and I actually replaced Howard at J&J, and back in 2004 or 5, and he opened the Vision Care Institute, which was a global operation, and I was fortunate enough to backfill him as Director of Professional Affairs at J&J, and thought he left J&J, I guess, around 6 or 7, and went over to Essilor. Thought I'd kind of gotten away from Howard, and 10 years later, Essilor acquired Vision Source after I had moved to Vision Source. So we've always been around each other. So I'm just really excited about this. You know, most of us have had interesting journeys into optometry. Think about it. I mean, optometry is a niche profession, right? You know, that we didn't grow up watching Marcus Welby OD or Duty Hauser OD, right? There weren't images and visuals of optometry growing up, right? And so certainly in my community, underserved Black community, there were no optometrists that looked like me, right? So I was fortunate to get exposed to optometry by a unique program, an affirmative action type program that was developed after the civil rights movement, right? And so I'll take you through that. But you know, most of us as optometrists were either exposed by our family, like Howard. I know your dad and granddad were both ODs, which was phenomenal. I had a unique experience. I got to share this one. When I left optometry in general practice in 2000, I moved to Miami to take a job with 4 Eyes Optical. And I found an apartment on the beach, Miami Beach. And I'm walking down the street and I see this optometry office, right? And I walk in, and the guy's got pictures of Michael Jackson on the wall. There's Taylor. He's the optometrist to the stars. And so I wait in the waiting area, and the optometrist walks out and he goes, "I'm Dr. Purcell." I said, "Hey, well, good to meet you, Dr. Purcell." And he goes, "Well, look, I'm finishing with patients and I'm about to jump on my surfboard and I'm going out to the beach." His practice was right across the street from the beach. I was like, this is how I want to live. This is real optometry, right? But I shared with Dr. Purcell, and I didn't know you then, Howard, but I shared with Dr.
I think you should make it clear, Derrick, that was not me. That was my father you were talking about.
That was Howard's dad, okay? And he was probably in his 70s then, but the guy was in great shape. He was jumping on his surfboard every day. And I shared with Dr.
So
Purcell
cool
that I had taken a leap of faith coming to Miami, because I had been in practice, had 2 offices. We were pretty successful. And he shared with me, he said, "Derrick, whatever you do, follow your passion in life." And his passion was his family, his practice, in surfing. And he says, if you use your optometry to follow your passion and dreams, you're going to have success. And so for me, that was confirmation that I was sort of on the right path, right? And I think and for me, my story in terms of coming to optometry, very similar to most African Americans or minority students who've come into medicine, law, or professions in the 80s and 90s. The great work in the 60s and 70s in the civil rights movement laid the groundwork for us for legislative changes that occurred in the 80s and 90s. And one of those changes was to establish programs to introduce underserved communities to great professions like optometry. And I was fortunate to go through the University of North Carolina Medical School, they had such a program, and that's how I got exposed to optometry, and sort of the rest is history. But I really think it's important that folks appreciate that, the exposure piece. Had I not been exposed through the University of North Carolina, I would never be an optometrist today, right?
That's such a
yeah,
Derrick, that's such a critical point, and I think it's a challenge for our profession is the awareness side. It's so important. Let me ask you a question that I hear a lot, and I think people would be interested in knowing this. So when you took the job at J&J, when you took the job at Vision Source, did you check every box? Like you knew, I've got all the skills. I know I got this because I know the answer to this because you and I are both in the same boat. But I hear this a lot. Like I didn't check all the boxes, so I never even threw my name in the hat. I never took a chance. How did you have the nerve to take a chance and to sign up at a J&J or to sign up at Vision Source when we all know we were not checking every box? We don't have every asset we absolutely need. But what gave you the confidence to do something like that?
Yeah, it's a great question, Howard. And it really started back in optometry school because at PCO during the 80s when I was there, Howard remembers, I don't know if you know, Erinn, but we didn't have therapeutic privileges across.
Derrick, Erinn wasn't born in the 80s.
She wasn't even born, exactly.
You are too kind. Yeah. You are too kind, Howard.
Yeah, but so I'll take you through it, Erinn. But back in the 80s,
thank you.
90s, optometry, we couldn't write prescriptions. In fact, I came from Maryland and Washington, D.C., where we could not even use diagnostic drops to dilate the pupil, right?
Wow.
And so in optometry school, we had great leaders like Lou Catania and Tom Lewis, who really drove the importance of us, once we get out of school, fight for your profession, get involved in organize optometry and try to expand and build your practice and so your profession. And so when I got out, Howard, to your point, I didn't have all the boxes checked, but when an opportunity at J&J arose or Four Eyes at the corporate level, I said, hey, let me give it a shot, right? Because, and if you go into it with passion and you go into it and give it everything you got, you're going to be successful. And so that's how it sort of played out for me.
I think it's a great message, Derrick, because I don't think you and I would have enjoyed the kind of career we both had a chance to enjoy had we not had the nerve here and there to say, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to take a chance. And by the way, the other thing I know you agree with, and I'm just going to state, is we need optometrists in industry. It's so important. Optometry needs to be represented there. And now both of us are going to encourage as many of our colleagues as possible to consider it. It is so critically important that we have a voice there. So tell us what you're doing right now, my friend. I know you're up to all kinds of cool stuff. What are you up to right now?
Well, about 3 years ago, I had my dad pass, and I decided to move away from practice, take care of some family obligations. And so next thing I know, I started getting calls from all over the industry to consult. And so now I'm working behind the scenes as a consultant for private equity firms that hold companies in the eye care space. I'm working with the Healthy Eyes Advantage, a great young company that combined 4 optometry buying groups into one. And they provide what we provide at Healthy Eyes is we provide consolidated billing for all of your products that you buy in the practice, and led by Jim McGran, former VSP president. So I'm consulting with him and other companies, emerging companies with new technologies. Dr. Ali Kashnevis has a great little technology called Clinic Cover. You'll hear more about it. So I'm doing some work with them as well. And then also, most importantly, Howard, I'm able to commit to what my passion. When your dad talked about passion, my passion has always been the students, right, and the kids. And so I work on the board of trustees at Salus University. We're now beyond optometry. We're a full-scale sort of healthcare university, and Dr. Mike Middleman is doing a heck of a job really just leading that organization. So so I spend time with the students because that's really where my passion has been. Like you, Howard, I'm sure you brought lots of kids into our profession, right, over the years, and I'm proud to say
most of them it was, if that guy can do it, I could probably do it. That's usually how I inspired people. No, but you're right, and you know this, Derrick. I know you know this. Hanging around students, we see the future of this profession is in great hands. We have great students in there, and I will tell you that Salus is fortunate to have you on the board, but I think Mike's doing some great work there. Obviously, you got 2 of the best optometry schools in the country represented right here, right? Yeah, it is great. And again, I really salute Michael and the great job and the whole team that they're doing it at Salus. It's great to see that growth and optometry being part of a bigger entity. So here we go. Another couple questions for you, my friend. I think maybe one that is, among the most important of them is just sort of, now that you and I have become sort of more of the older guard, I hate to tell you, we're kind of kicking our way into that phase a little bit. I'm a little ahead of you. But so words of wisdom are what we're asked for now. When we were younger, we'd ask, how do we disrupt, right? Now we're asked for words of wisdom. So Dr. Artis, when you're talking to our colleagues, now you consult, you do these things, you have so much knowledge about this profession. What are the things you're talking to people? What are you recommending? What are you telling people to look for, watch out for, take advantage of? What kinds of advice do you have for the members of our profession?
Thanks, Howard. I guess that's your kind way of saying we're getting old now. Give us some advice.
I think so.
When I reflect back over the career, Howard, there are three things that stand out to me, and it always started from pre-PCO. One, exposure. Everything's about exposure. I was fortunate to become exposed to optometry through that program at the University of North Carolina. So I would say to any young doctor, get exposure, and sometimes exposure comes to you, but also you create exposure, right? You create opportunities, right? So get out and get involved in your profession. Support organized optometry, get involved in the state and local level, and be exposed to opportunities. That's number one. Number two, and there's no secret to this, it's all about hard work. You got to work your butt off, right? For years, Howard and I guess working at J&J and these companies, people think all we do is go to the bar at night and buy drinks.
That's after you worked your butt off.
That's right. Erinn knows.
100-hour work weeks, there's just no shortcut, right? And then number three, and here's probably the most important thing, whatever you do in our profession, it's going to require help. We're not an island. We got to get out of that exam lane, right? And get out and connect with others, right? So for me, every step along the way in my career, there's been some important person or organization that supported what I wanted to do. So, and again, I started off with 4 Eyes when I left practice, and Phil Wallman, the owner of 4 Eyes, gave me an opportunity to come down because he knew he needed a leader to lead the optometry group, right? And then from there to J&J. As Howard knows, Mr. Phil Kiefer, one of my homeboys from Maryland, was the CEO at the time. And, I sat down with Phil before I took the job and gave me a unique opportunity, right? So that was important. And then at Vision Source, of course, the founder of Vision Source, Glenn Ellisor, he and I connected on a spiritual level, on a business level, and he gave me a unique opportunity. And I worked with some great people like Glenn Ellisor and John McCall and folks at Vision Source. So 3 things. 1, go out and create opportunities, exposure. 2, work your butt off. And then 3, get support, garner support from others, because that's so key.
Derrick, in the last minute or so we have, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about something that I know is near and dear to your heart, and it is to mine too. You and I have been participating with the Vision Council on looking at some data and trying to really understand some of the issues we face around diversity, equity, and inclusion in this space overall. And I really salute the Vision Council and all who have participated in that for the work that they're doing. Yep. I just wanted you to comment on why is this important, and I know we both think that it is critically important, but when we look at some of the data, it isn't necessarily shared by everybody how important they think this issue is. And I just wanted to give you a minute to share your thoughts on why is it important that as a profession we continue to look at this issue and we make sure that we represent equally as best we can. Because what we do know, and I can tell you from a clinical standpoint, when our doctors look like us, we have better outcomes, we have better results, and we better make sure at the schools and colleges we're producing diverse students. But I'd like you to just comment briefly, if you wouldn't mind.
Howard, man, I tell you, first, thank you for supporting and being a big part of the Vision Council's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee and program, because this is huge for our industry. It's not just the right thing to do from a moral perspective. Absolutely, it's the right thing to do to give everyone an opportunity. Get that. More importantly, it's the right thing to do for the business and the industry. The data shows that over the years that when companies hire people of good, diverse backgrounds, companies are more successful. You have different ways of thinking and approaching these business challenges, and you create great solutions. So there's a strong business case for it. And then more importantly, in our profession, particularly because we serve people, Howard, we've got to take care of our patients, and patients come of all persuasions, and we need to provide minority, diverse practitioners, staff, people that work in our industry in order to serve our patients. So it's just critical. And but I go back to this other point though. At the end, you got to have support of the whole industry and the organization to make a difference. And so I applaud the Vision Council and companies like yours, Eye Care Business, Erinn, that are giving us the exposure we need to bring more diversity, equity, and inclusion to our industry.
Derrick, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for today, but more importantly, thank you for the contributions you made to our profession. I think many of them were not necessarily front and center where everybody saw them, but you bringing not only your smarts, your experiences, but also the importance of diversity and why it is so critical that we all continue paying attention to this. We all thank you for that, my friend. So I'm going to kick it back to Erinn, but thanks, buddy. Appreciate you spending some time with us. I hope people listen to your messages because they're pretty darn important. And I look forward to seeing you soon when the time is right. We can see each other face to face.
Absolutely. Howard, before I close, can I make one little other comment though? Because I think
absolutely. And I have another question for you, Derrick, but when you're done with your comment.
Go ahead.
And I just want to shout out to the audience to please, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type them into the comment bars now, if you have them, and this will be kind of our last chance to get those in if we do. And if not, I have one more question for Derrick as well.
Sure.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted you. You said you had one more comment you wanted to kind of bring up.
Yeah,
which is
again,
great.
It's sort of a theme of the three things that I've found very helpful in the career. Number one, finding opportunities, getting exposure to opportunities. Number two, working hard. But three, the importance of having connectivity with others. And I as I look back over my career, there've been a lot of folks that I worked hard for and that worked hard for me. But I do want to call out one person, and I think the timing of sort of race relations in America today makes it important. I would say probably my best friend in this industry is a white country boy from Crockett, Texas, named Dr. John McCall. And I'm just a black city boy from Washington, D.C. But we're two of the best friends because we share a common love for humanity, a common love of our profession. I mean, John was president of AOA and helped build Vision Source. And, we couldn't be two people that are more polar opposites, right? You country boy from Texas, don't share the same political perspectives all the time, don't share a lot of the same perspectives, but we have a bond that will last forever. And it's based on, one, we trust each other and we listen to each other, right? And our country today, I think, could certainly would be in a better place if more folks from different perspectives could learn to listen to each other and trust each other. And so I just wanted to call out John because he's indicative of that third person, that third piece I keep talking about. If there was no John McCall, I probably wouldn't be here either, and vice versa. So that's the one thing I just wanted to.
I think that's an incredibly important point, and thank you for bringing that up. And I think it's more important today than ever that we all try to have those kinds of relationships and see, the world through other folks' eyes that might not be just like us. It's so critical. So thank you for that insight.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I want to give, on this note, I want to give a quick shout out because I see that our good friend, Dr. Diana Cantos-Sims is here, and she says, great seeing my fellow DE&I Vision Council board members, Dr. Artis and Dr. Purcell. So thanks for joining us, Diana. She is a pretty amazing lady.
Diana has been wonderful. She's worked very hard. I had the pleasure of working with her on this project. She's terrific. Thanks, Diana.
Yeah.
She sure is. So, Derrick, I have one more question for you. I know we've run a tiny bit over here, our projected, but that's always the case, right? Because there's so much to talk about, and I think so many important things. But I just want to get your view. It was the very last question that we had on the list for you. And I know, there are many other questions on the list as well that we didn't quite get to so we could have a part 2 here. But I just want to ask you your perspective, right? I mean, so many practices are struggling right now. So many, eye care professionals, from optometrists to opticians to office managers, people are really going through the ringer right now through the COVID crisis. Things dropped off in January. Business was recovering. We're kind of starting to come back now again in February. The weather was a big problem. It's just kind of keeps getting knocked down, and it's been difficult. But there are a lot of kind of silver linings as well. And I think a lot of looking at the bigger picture for the future, there are a lot of new things that came out of the COVID crisis for practices that will remain, important to keep.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to ask you kind of what are some of the key changes that the independent ODs, will need to adopt to survive and thrive in the future?
Yeah. Erinn, great question. And that's real, right? That's what we're facing, all of us. One, certainly COVID has increased the need for remote access to all kind of healthcare, right? Like ours as well, right? Telemedicine is starting to take off, and that's a quandary for us as a profession. But I would encourage us to embrace technology and learn how to promote the technology. Is just part of the equation. That ultimately you need the doctor's expertise, and the doctor makes the clinical decision. So we communicate to our patients. Yeah, you can use telemedicine and certain technologies, but ultimately you need the doctor to his expertise and the doctor her expertise to prescribe the products and take care of the patient. So that's number one. The other one that I really think we need as a profession to focus on more, and we do at Salus, is expanding our scope of care beyond just eye care into primary care, right? During our early days in the profession, Howard, TPAs becoming therapeutically certified was the focus, right? So we all looked at that AOA map every month to see how many states had TPA privileges. I think we've got to go into primary care. And if you think about it, the reason we were able to get into TPAs was because there was an unmet need in states like West Virginia and Carolina with rural areas that didn't have ophthalmologists. So we made a case that optometrists could help meet that need. Well, in primary care today, guys, there's a huge need. The nurse practitioners and physician assistants, still, we don't have enough primary care physicians to take care of our patients today. There's no reason why that patient who's sitting in my chair with an eye diagnosed hypertension and diabetes, we shouldn't be taking care of that, right? We're trained to do it. We have the ability to do it. And I just think that if we garner our focus like we did with TPAs, we can do the same thing today by expanding into primary care. I think that's a huge opportunity for us.
Like I said, Salus is pretty lucky to have them. I try to steal them away, but I don't think I can.
But that's just,
I won't tell anybody.
It's the same thing we faced. And over all the years of optometry, it seems like every couple of decades, something's going to put us out of business. LASIK was supposed to put us out of business. Remember, Howard? Right? But what we did with LASIK, we were smart enough to really focus on cooperative care and co-management of LASIK and controlling the patient, right? So that LASIK didn't put us out of business. We have to do the same thing with telemedicine today. Optometry is strong. It's going to survive. We got the young doctors that you're producing and Salus and these other schools. Oh my God, they're phenomenal young doctors. They're great leaders. And what I love most about it, Erinn, is that these young female doctors are coming out and making
pretty amazing,
right? And again, they're bringing insights and ways and thoughts about practicing that we didn't consider before, right?
Definitely.
These young, dynamic people into our professions. Our profession is going to be around for a long time, guys. I'm bullish.
I think the future is bright for sure.
If you ever doubt it, when the time is right and we can do this again, spend a day at a college of optometry.
Oh my goodness.
If you ever doubt the future of this profession is not on the way going in the right direction, just spend a day.
I see a whole new live stream series in the making, Howard.
We're in good hands.
At this point, I'm throwing the mic back to you, Erinn.
I've got it. I caught it. And thank you very much. I'm going to give one more quick shout out. We have Brady here from Prologue Vision in Dallas, Texas. Thanks for joining us, Brady. And thanks
Brady,
to everyone.
Everyone is safe down in Dallas. We know you guys have been through a lot of tough stuff down there. That's my old hometown there. So hope everyone's safe. And thanks for joining for sure.
Absolutely. And a huge thank you to you, Howard. You did a wonderful job, amazing job as our Share the Mic debut. Awesome. And amazing job to Derrick. Thank you so much for your insights and your participation. We truly appreciate it. Thanks to our audience, and stay tuned for more of these EB Share the Mic live streams coming down the pike. So Brady says we thawed out. So that's good. Good news. Yeah, well, thank you all and have a great day. And we'll see you soon. Shout out to my friends
in Texas too. Shout out to all my friends in Texas too. Guys, hang in there. All right.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Derrick.
Thank you, guys.